Oh, it's very bright. Whoa! Whoa! Wow. It's like a kaleidoscope. Wow. What was different about this than other things is the, obviously, like the relentlessness of it. And so with that, there's no choice but to express, or else you'll explode, or like something, you'll get an ulcer or something. And so I think with most other situations, there's the option to be like, okay, cool, we'll go into this, and then like, okay, get the cell phone, or okay, do something else, go for a run, like go outside, just like take my mind off of that. Whereas this, you're just like, you're right here with it, and you just keep on going. So I think the relentlessness of it was really important, because I would just run away, like very avoidant tendencies historically. And so that was a major education for me in developing resilience around avoidance, or avoidant characteristics, because there's no choice. And technically there is a choice, which adds to the resilience, I think, in a way, because like all of my phone and my computer, the light switch, like, it's all right there. There's times where I'd put my finger on the light switch and just like, no. Like I knew it wasn't going to, but it was just like, what else am I gonna do? Like at 16 hours, I'll just put my finger on the light switch. Or I'm like breathing and putting my head on the vent and just like breathing the air from outside. That was like a novel experience for me. Yeah, just I think appreciating the smallest, most minute things is, I think that would be like an obvious thing that would come from it. But experiencing that in an embodied way, it was very pleasant. And important, I think. Night 2 had just like obscenely the most lucid dreams I've had since I was like a little boy. I used to be able to lucid dream because I had nightmares, and then I had to like figure out lucid dreaming because I was terrified to go to sleep. And then this, it was really fascinating. I was like flying, and I was like on a motorcycle that started flying, and then I was like floating away looking down and everything. It was really, really, that was really special to get to lucid dream for the first time ever. And yeah, they were abundant, I would say, the dreams, like very long and detailed, more than typical characteristics. It's like very feminine, like you're in a womb, you're in a bath multiple times in like a birthing position in a bath, weeping, which is an interesting experience, especially for me or a dude. And then at the same time, there's the firmness of it's like, I'm not going anywhere. And so that, I think the contrast of like the softness of it, once you allow yourself to surrender and open, and then like the healing aspect of it, along with the, we're staying right here. Like, no, like right here. And so again, it's very like the blend of masculine and feminine felt very like apparent to me. Because you can only do tough guy for so long, which is a great metaphor for everything, or tough girl. And that lasts for some duration, and you can fool yourself, and you can, fool other people, and you can all like play the charade together. And then with the unrelenting darkness in this situation, eventually it's just like, sorry, bitch. That only lasts for maybe a day and a half max. Probably not, depending upon, your constitution. Like, this is like one of the greatest rites of passages I think a human could undergo, especially in the modern world, or inundated by so much like stuff everywhere. Just be like, for X amount of days, and then go back to the stuff is like so hard, and then also I believe to be so invaluable. The expression of different layers of my personality naturally emerged because there wasn't the judgment of anything. And so that was the thing that I found to be really beautiful, was the layers would just naturally emerge. And something that I came to realizing, I guess, is a person that doesn't express will feel repressed and pent up and that will likely lead to all of the things. And a person that's fully expressed is able to heal. But most of us, or me, historically, have been afraid to fully express because of fear of judgment. And so in there, it's this spaciousness to express anything and everything, and then it's almost like your personality starts to birth itself in a way. Or my personality started to birth itself in a way. Fine. That's the funny thing. It's like it feels daunting, and then it's fine. And then it feels daunting, and then it's fine. It's like these cycles of like, oh my God, this is absolutely impossible. And then time passes, and you're like eating your soup for dinner, and you're like, oh, that was totally fine. That was actually a really productive day. And then the next day happens again, and you're like, you think it's going to be better, and then it's terrible, and then it's fine. And then just these ongoing cycles of that. So I wouldn't say that darkness is of greater value than psilocybin or ayahuasca or vipassana or anything. I would say it's a different tool. And I think it's a more thorough tool. But for a person living in the modern world that's inundated with tech and gadgets and distractions, the darkness will be drastically more of a thorough cleaning than sitting with ayahuasca for 5 hours. I would say that for sure. It just keeps going in. And so it starts off, and you're doing it as well. So that's a big difference also. So oftentimes people that label themselves as like psychonauts or related to psychedelics or whatever, will romanticize that layer of consciousness or like that dimension as that's like better or more interesting, or suddenly I have like more prestige in the spiritual world because I've seen crazy shit. And I think that's just another layer. It's just like a novel layer. But this layer being with just day-to-day life and like the monotony of the human experience, to be able to really dive into just the complexity and the magic and the nuance of that. That's like, I think that's as psychedelic as any psychedelic could be. So that's, I think, something that would be, that I learned from extended darkness, of just how interesting this layer of reality is. And if I give it time, and if I'm patient with it, it starts to envelop. But for the most part, I don't think I've had enough patience to see the magic of things. And so I seek out some catalyst for a moment of magic, whether it's like an extreme thing or a psychedelic thing or sex or whatever the thing is, and you have this like peak experience, or I have this peak experience. But when one is stripped away from all of that stuff, suddenly all you have is all these other parts that actually, if you allow yourself to be with it, it's like, oh, there's actually a lot here. And the a lot, I think, is about going through the different layers of self and the different layers of like guarding and protection that I didn't realize that I had. And that's like really fascinating and really uncomfortable. And the discomfort is what makes it interesting. Whereas if it's not uncomfortable, there's nothing there. It's kind of like, oh, this is lovely, but that loveliness can only last for so long. Like inevitably, the loveliness is almost like a healing balm, maybe you could say. And it's like, oh, okay, cool, you're good. And you hope that that's it. You're like, okay, cool, like I'm good. You're like, no. We're just putting a balm. There's now that you're feeling okay here. Now we can go a little bit deeper. And you're like, no. And then you get through that, and then it's like, oh man, oh God. And then it just keeps going. It's very like intelligent the way that it works, which I guess is the way that life works, or the human works, or consciousness works.